I have the pleasure of welcoming Allison Ireton, attorney with Bloom City Club, to the stage. Give it up for Allison.
First, I'd like to thank Benzinga for hosting this wonderful event. I've been here since the beginning of the presentations this morning, and I've learned so much from my colleagues and collegial competitors in this space, which we all seem to be in Michigan, which is great. I love looking at this huge picture of myself, so I think I'm going to see if, there we go, that's much better. And also congratulate all of you, because this is like a marathon day of presentations, so congratulations for having the stamina to keep your butts in the seats for this long. After listening to the other presenters today, I had a sort of standard presentation, an investor presentation, but I'm just going to kind of go off script a little bit and address a lot of my comments to maybe new investors who are in the room getting into the cannabis space for the first time, or people, even some MSOs that maybe are growing a little faster than they thought they would and have a lot of, permitted dispensaries, but nobody to run them. So how I'm going to go about doing that is first, obviously, tell you a little bit about who I am, who the Bloom City Club group is, what we've been doing in the space, where we see our growth and our trajectory and exit, which is basically everybody's exit plan, some sort of acquisition or consolidation. And then, what investors should be asking potential business partners, and what business partners, operators, should be asking investors, and sort of setting a stage for expectations. I think one of the frustrations that both parties to this transaction have is unfair expectations going into a negotiation. I've spoken to a lot of people today who have experienced the same frustrations that I think a lot of business owners have when raising capital or finding the right partners. So, I promise you, if you pay attention, you'll take something away with you today that's useful or helpful, or a point of view that maybe you haven't heard before. So, Bloom City Club. Obviously we own a few businesses and they all have different names. We don't have an overarching, parent company name like Green Peak or Acreage, and all great companies, Common Citizen. It's really an honor to share a stage, with the companies that have been up here today. But we got started back in 2015. We opened a dispensary. I'm going to say dispensary instead of provisioning center just because it's easier. But we opened a dispensary in Ann Arbor, Michigan in 2015, August of 2015. So we've been open for for a little over 4 years now. We were licensed in September 10th of last year. And it's just a small converted garage, 960 square feet. And we also have a processing center that was licensed a year ago as well in Leone Township. And I don't know if my partner who runs the processing center, Patrick Kinney, is here, but if you have any questions about processing or cultivation, I encourage you to talk to him. It's all a mystery to me. But Patrick Kinney, it's important to note, as part of our team, Patrick Kinney has a 20-plus year career at Ford that he walked away from to do this. He's, like Michael Elias said, he's our own lean manufacturing, Six Sigma guru who, spent his entire career doing process engineering and lean manufacturing. And those skills are truly vital in this industry. So Peregrine Manufacturing currently is delivering to about 69 provisioning centers in Michigan. We make brownies, tinctures, capsules, vape cartridges. We're not heavily into vape cartridges because so many other production facilities are. So we're kind of focusing on, we have a great Michigan trademark product called the Canamelt that people seem to really enjoy. And also, we are getting into cultivation. We've been doing a build out over the past several months in Ypsilanti. It's just a Class A grow. This is more out of necessity. We've never we've never raised capital to do cultivation. We made a decision early on that we didn't want to do that kind of capital raise or really be that heavily invested in cultivation because we see this as a short-term supply need. So if there's anybody that's a licensed grower out there or a caregiver with clean product, my team would shoot me if I didn't ask. If you have any flower, we are very interested in purchasing it. Okay, so This is just Bloom by the numbers. And if you're an investor, you should definitely ask anybody who's been in business in the gray market before licenses were available, what are your numbers? I scrubbed the gross sales from this just because Benzinga said this is going to go on their website, and I didn't just want it that easy to find, but I'm happy to share these numbers with you in detail. I will talk about them now, even though I know this is being recorded, so they can see it that way too. But basically, in the unregulated market, we could not do any advertising. We had to, fly under the radar. And obviously sales and revenue grow every year after year. We've had phenomenal growth. We finished last year just under $6 million in sales out of a 960 square foot building. And we will probably finish this year just over $7 million. And even though this year from last year is going to be a relatively small year for growth, we're lucky to have any growth facing the headwinds of a very robust black market who is advertising on weed maps. I talk to patients all the time. We have a very small supply of flower at Bloom right now because it's very hard to procure through the seed to sale track system. And a lot of our patients are like, well, there's tons of flower on weed maps, and I can get it delivered right to my house. And because it's on weed maps and they can just call up a phone number and get it delivered, they think it's legal. They think that it's part of the state-run program. And why wouldn't they? I mean, they're not experts in this industry. I don't fault them for that. But there is, a ton of opportunity to buy black market product that seems to be legal, and that's just the state of the market right now. Okay, so again, sales are growing year after year. Also, it was interesting. We had an MSO. We've been in talks with 2 or 3 MSOs for about a year now that all want to acquire. And the long story short for us is we're just, I'm too young to retire. And the kind of money they're offering isn't like retire and never work again for the rest of your life. So, a total acquisition for us just isn't where we are in our stage of growth right now. But, the thing to ask for if you're an investor is ask for their Michigan State sales tax submission returns. Because if they're saying they have 10 million in sales, but they only said they had 5 million, to the state of Michigan, then they're not honest people. Who knows if what they're telling you is true. So just ask for their sales tax remittance, and that's a good way of getting to know if they're telling the truth about their sales. So this is Bloom. Again, like I said, it's a small building. If you notice on both sides, right there in the corners, those are residential homes right next door to Bloom. So in Ann Arbor, this isn't a problem. It's in a commercial zone, even though there are homes on either side of Bloom. We're nestled in a neighborhood, and our neighbors love us. So the Bloom patient profile, there was a lot of discussion today from Common Citizen, from, can't remember his name, from 1906, but they were talking about the demographic of patients. And at Bloom, we made a decision early on that we wanted to be 5-star customer service all the way. And I think the very first person who stood on this stage, Jason Resnick from Benzinga, talked about Ritz-Carlton customer service. And my ears peaked because our very first hire was somebody who was trained and worked at Ritz-Carlton in their 5-star customer service program. And that was how we wanted to set ourselves apart. So, everything I heard today about customer service is absolutely true. And we hear it every day from our patients, and they do shop sometimes daily and weekly, every other day they come in and tell us, obviously they love us because they keep coming back. But our demographic, even in a college town, is, you can see 50%, just 49.91% of our patients are over 40, and 3/4 of our patients are over 30. So we definitely do not rely on a college age demographic. And that kind of shows in our average patient ticket. These are people with disposable income who have money to spend on cannabis. So the best places to work vision. So we hired our first manager who had Ritz-Carlton training because we knew customer service was going to be our differentiator. We also knew or learned early on as a management team that if we expect our employees to treat our customers with 5-star service, we as a management team had to treat our employees with 5-star customer service because they're our customers. So we had a vision of Bloom as being one of the best places to work in cannabis. We pay our employees a competitive wage. It's not the highest wage in the industry, but it's competitive, and our bud tenders do make tips. But we also give them bonuses. We give them a very generous employee discount. We do work with them on education. We send them to seminars, any kind of continuing education that they want, either in computers or dealing with irate customers. We send them to those programs. We also have health insurance. And believe me, it costs us a lot of money. Everybody knows, or everybody sitting in this room should know about 280E and how employee costs are not deductible. So this is a decision we made that takes money out of our pockets, but it ultimately comes back around to us because our employees really take care of our customers because we take care of them. Okay, and then if you're an investor, you should also ask, what is your policy? Like, how do you communicate with the community so that the community wants you in their community and you're a good business partner in the community? And then this is just some of what our reviews are on Leafly and Weed Maps and on Google, which is something that investors should be looking at. So we are going to be opening a store in Burton in the next month and a half or so. In Muskegon, we're very busy right now. Also, there is an opportunity for somebody in this room potentially for an investment in Detroit Dispensary. That is the closest one to downtown. We recently had an investor that got a little nervous about being in cannabis because of the other business that they do. And Sturgis, which is a border town. We also have permits. We've gotten about 9 permits to operate in other communities, but these are the ones we're focusing on getting open soon. Okay, our exit strategy is the same as everybody else's. Acquisition, continue operating the stars. I always refer to it as my headache to cash flow ratio. Like if it's easy enough to run you and you're bringing enough money and you're not causing too many headaches, then maybe we'll still be here 5 years from now doing this. And then merging with other, smaller operators like we are. So our perfect partner would be somebody who owns property. The deal we did in Burton was a property owner who was able to get a permit but has no idea how to operate a business. Wants to be in the business, wants to stay in for some of the upside of the business, but needed to just bring in an operator, and they brought us in as an equity partner to operate and generate revenue for their business. Also, some of the MSOs that were talking to us, they got 60 licenses in 1 year. They're never going to get these stores open, or they have to quadruple their staff. They're going to be sitting on these licenses for years unless they partner with somebody locally that might be able to get that open for them and generate the kind of run rate or revenue that their next acquisition partner is going to look for. Also, other Michigan operators for the same reason. And lately, we've been approached by a lot of people who there's some new money that seems to be in the industry in the form of, capital loans based on your assets. Loaning back based on the value of the property, the cannabis property that you have. So again, getting back to, why would you look if you're an investor or already in the industry, you own property, and you're looking for a business partner? Bloom. I don't need trademark attorneys telling me it's not a great trademarkable name, we know that. But Bloom has a very good, solid local reputation. So when I go to a place like Muskegon or I go to Sturgis and I say Bloom City Club from Ann Arbor wants to do business in your town, they're excited. They're like, wow, we can't believe it, that's great. Bloom from Ann Arbor wants to come here. And that's the kind of, so for now, Bloom has the kind of reputation that we need to move forward. And someday when we have a few more of these open, we're going to look at changing to a more, a unique name that has a little bit more intellectual property appeal to it and go ahead and trademark it. Also, we have a culture that we've spent the last 4 years building, and our culture is one that really is conducive to, patients like to see the same bud tender. They like to come into the store, see familiar faces. And we've been able to keep a lot of our employees around, and that creates that synergistic relationship between the patient and the customer that people have been talking about all day. And we also have pretty solid vendor relationships, which has become so important in this time in particular where flower is short. So I got to wrap this up. I got 20 seconds left. Again, just getting back to the leadership. a lot of us, I come from a traditional, my legal background is in healthcare, federal healthcare and state healthcare regulations, which is a perfect fit for this industry. I also used to work at Purdue Farms in large HR, so all of us have a lot of the same traditional deep business backgrounds that you want in operators, not just 30 years of black market cannabis experience. So if you are interested in talking to us, or you're interested just in, I could talk about cannabis all day, if you want to just pick my brain about our experience in the industry or what you should be looking for in a partner, we're more than happy to talk to you. Just connect with us on Brella on that app, and it's been my pleasure to be here with you today.
All right.